Welcome
back
to
the
Iron
Brothers
Podcast
and
Video.
Post-race cap edition.
Post-race recap edition. That's right, ladies and gentlemen.
We have achieved glory.
We can officially be called the Iron Brothers.
Officially.
How
about we sing a little
Oh, Canada. There you go.
That's all I know.
Thanks for tuning back in, everyone.
I know it's been a week since the big day.
Yes, it has been.
How are we feeling?
I think we're both feeling back to 100%.
True.
I think it took definitely quite a few days for my legs to unwind, untighten.
Yeah, my hips were so tight.
Yeah. I feel like it felt like one of those garage springs that just gets tightened so far.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like I'm unraveled. I'm untightened.
Feel loose.
Yeah, I'm loose. I'm back to normal.
Limber.
Yeah.
Limber. Yeah, no, I feel the same. It probably took me 3 solid days of feeling super tight. And then after that it was back to pretty much 100%.
Yeah.
But it's been 7-8 days now.
Yeah.
Still haven't done a training session yet. I worked out though for the first time in 10 months.
Wow.
It felt exhilarating.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I miss the gym vibe. I know for locals that listen and watch this podcast at the pool, they don't play music there. It's just dead silent. So it's kind of like a turn off at that point. But yeah, no, it's super nice to just get the blood pumping and actually try to build muscle again.
Yeah, I wanted to get in there this week, but I just haven't made it.
Yeah.
And you got a little pre-workout action in that you've been abstaining from for 8 months, 10 months.
I know,
too.
I haven't taken any pre-workout for almost a year. Yeah, it's 10, 11 months now, and holy smokes, my body was giddied up for 5 hours after.
It's a lot different than the 20 milligrams of caffeine you get in a gel.
Exactly. No, I agree. But man, why don't you tell us a little bit about how it all went down?
Yeah, I think we should pick it up from where we left off night before.
Yeah.
I will say I slept terribly that night.
Same.
The baby didn't sleep much better than I did, so that didn't help. And then I just could not fall asleep. And then 3:15 a.m. rolled around, and we got the day started. That was a early morning. But we woke up, we started making breakfast. I think we did 1 egg, 4 pieces of toast, just trying to get those last minute carbs in and get it early enough in the day to start digesting everything. And then, it's just us in the morning hanging around the house. So just trying to get in that zone, stretching out, getting loose, getting limber, making sure all of our gear's packed and ready to go. There is so much, I feel like, thought that goes into getting everything ready. It was just ridiculous. For the few days beforehand, it was just I want to lay out all the bags. Let me make sure I lay out exactly what my nutrition and hydration is going to look like. Let me make sure these bottles are in the right place. Okay, if I put some of them in the fridge, am I going to, remember to get them out? But then all the outfit things that I need, shoes, hat, put it in there just in case type of things. So morning of was just making sure everything was there and trying not to forget anything. So getting in that zone, getting ready, and then rolled out to get to our transition area at around 5 a.m.
Yeah, we left the house at around 5:05. We got down there around 5:15.
Yeah.
And they opened the transition zone at 5 a.m. and it's open until the start of the swim, which is at 6:30. We roll up at 5:15, and me and Logan are literally walking in to the transition area, and there's a big old announcement that comes overhead. It's all right, just an announcement. We are postponing the swim for an extra hour.
So already right off the bat,
it throws off our food intake. It throws off
Nerves.
You have that
Prep.
big old
Adrenaline
buildup of
surge.
adrenaline and everything. And so we were like, okay, we'll still like get ready like we used to, but we just get an extra hour of like stretching and hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, great. So go to use the porta potties, and we get out, and then almost right after that announcement, another announcement comes up, and they say that because of the water temps, they're shortening the course from the complete 3,800 meters to only 900 meters, which is like just a quarter. And mind you, 2 days before the race, we did a half distance swim of about 1,800 meters.
Yeah.
So
felt great. The water was like 70 degrees.
Yeah.
We both felt great. So we were looking forward to that.
Yeah, we were looking forward to the swim, but all Saturday it was raining and windy, and I guess it brought up a lot of the cool water that was underneath the surface, and it pushed all the hot water away. So really unfortunate that they had to shorten the swim. And we were like, great, okay. Do we still like attack it with the same mindset, or how do we not like get down on ourselves? And so we, with the extra hour and the shortened distance, we literally just go out of the transition zone and sit on like a park bench for 30 minutes and just like chill. Hang out with my wife and hang out with my mom, and you can tell them the next part.
Yeah, so it's just like such a weird bag of emotions, because like Jacob said, just like all of the different factors that go into the morning, just like the nerves are just bubbling over with all the people, buzzing through the transition area. You can just feel like the anticipation of what's coming. So it gets delayed, it gets shortened, and then we hang out for like an hour, and then another announcement over the PA comes, and they cancel the swim. They just say, it's too cold. We've decided to cancel it, and we're going to start on the bikes. And that was just super disappointing. I think, it was one thing to like shift the mindset to a shorter swim. But then it was just a complete curveball to just hear that the swim was canceled altogether. And it's hard to know how to feel at that point, especially because you just have this picture of what the day is going to look like. And for so many months, we've visualized what it would look like to, start in the water, to be running in, to like be swimming next to people, to come out of that swim and know exactly what we're doing. Coming back into the transition zone, like walking through everything the day before, visualizing everything, kind of just prepping yourself. And then all of a sudden that third of the day just gets chunked out. And so, we come back into the transition area and take off the wetsuits, try to get adjusted again. By this time, everyone else is showing up. So like my parents, my wife, our friends Olivia and Kyle, and we're trying to talk about it, but like we're not super in an awesome headspace. I think because we're still trying to figure out what that looks like for us and how we're going to deal with that. So, that was the big curveball of the day.
Yeah, super disappointing.
Yeah,
but I think it's a testament to our overall training, and there will always be obstacles. There will always be setbacks and unfortunate events that we have to look at it with a certain perspective of, okay, it's literally out of our control to warm up the entire lake for us to make it swimmable. And with it dropping well over 20 degrees over the span of 48 hours, there's nothing that we could literally do to make that happen. But as much of a disappointment as it was, I don't feel like it took away the crowd support, the excitement, and the true rigor of what an Ironman encapsulates.
Yeah. Honestly,
And
surprised by like
yeah.
the vibe didn't, I feel like, change too much between like everybody who was all there. Like it wasn't like everyone was pouty or mopey. Like
In fact, I think a lot of people shifted their mindset to like a sigh of relief. Like,
Yeah.
oh, thank gosh, we
I
don't have to
know.
do the swim anymore. It's like, well, yeah, that's a part of it though.
Yeah.
But no, everyone was super responsive. The officials and the coordinators, it's a tough announcement to make, and I know how hard that they would feel and how concrete that they would have to be to make that announcement. So kudos to them for looking out for us. I mean, the last thing that we needed for the last Penticton race ever was for a death,
Yeah.
God forbid, to occur.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we had to start the bike via like time trial style. And so every 5 seconds, they're sending off people based off of their bib numbers. And so with me and Logan having one number between each other for the bib, 720, 721, we were pretty close to each other, but then his row kind of went a little bit farther up more than mine. And I wish I just had the courage to be like, wait, I want to start like next to him. But I started only like 8 or 9 bikes behind him. So it wasn't like too big of a difference, but it was still fun to see him go off and all of our family and friends cheer you on. And then for me to go off a couple minutes after and then hear more cheers and do that. And it was super fun to like, I felt like I got pretty much the same type of nerves that I would going into the swim or going into the water as I would to how we started on the bike. Yeah.
That was hard because my row was pushing forward and I was like trying to look back at Jacob and I see him like a few people behind and I'm like, no, because I thought we were just gonna go right side by side. And honestly, dude, I came out on the bike and the nerves were just like so heavy and they were just sending people so fast. I think it clipped in. And it was so embarrassing because it's, fans all along that first stretch. Yeah. And I like could not get clipped in. And I was like struggling. And then finally I got it.
Well, my fear was like if I put too much pressure on the pedal and my chain broke off like the first couple seconds. Oh, man. That's what was running through my head. I was like, oh, Lord, please be soft on the chain. Because backtracking like less than a week before the race, my back tire pops and there's this big piece of glass in it. So I replaced both tires. When I go to replace both tires, I'm like, okay, can you like check out the group set too? Like make sure it's okay. He's like, yeah, no, your chain and chain set are like fried. So how about we change it after the race? And I was like, you don't want to change it before the race? He was like, you don't want to try something new on the race day, right? And I was like, yeah, but I mean,
I don't want to
have that in my conscience where I'm going to have to think about my chain the whole time. Like,
back in your head.
Lord, please have good pressure on it. Yeah. But no, luckily I preset my chain to like the lowest level.
Yeah, me too. I didn't even think about that. But coming out without tons of resistance is key. Yeah, but the bike start, dude, with that kind of start pushing 2 people out every 5 seconds, it was crazy because normally like with the swim it would naturally spread people out, but with the bike being the start of it and them sending people out in those waves so quick, literally pretty much the whole bike ride, people in front, people right behind. And so
you're always passing or getting passed by people the entire race.
Yeah. And so it starts you out going through like the main street of Penticton towards the end of town. And they didn't shut the streets down for the rest of the course, but in town they did. So you're going through like Main Street Penticton with just like tons of bikers, tons of people on either side. And it was just so cool. And I honestly really enjoyed the bike ride and the fact that There was people around you the whole time, especially like with training, going out on these solo rides and being like so isolated. I thought it was really nice to have, you know, people just constantly around you. One, because I don't know, just like the atmosphere of it felt, I don't know, I've never been on a group ride, but something like that where you're just out with people. And two, kind of like you were talking about passing and getting past, I feel like I always had someone to kind of compete against, or like some gauge of pace. So I think I came out a little hot, and then once I got settled, you know, I kind of lowered the heart rate, got into the spot that I wanted to be in, and then we go up a little hill, and then you go down it, and there's just people bombing it. And then right at the bottom is like an aid station. So I just remember like coming down this first hill, there's people flying by, the aid station people are cheering, it was just like chaotic and hectic, but it was like such a good first kind of like introduction to what the day was going to be like. What did the first little bit look like for you?
It felt good. I could see you like half a mile in front of me for like the first.
Oh, really?
For like the first, I'd say probably 60 miles until we hit Richter.
Yeah. I was hoping you would just like roll up next to me at one point.
I wish, but then I knew it was like if I did that and like put
Gas
that much power
out
of gas, and it would have been not fun.
Yeah.
But I think with me, I really enjoyed the bike because I was able to kind of strategically stop at the aid stations that I needed to. The first aid station I stopped at, flipped out one water bottle, and then I skipped the second, and then was the third at Richter's, at the top of Richter's.
Yeah.
I stopped at that one and redid all my bottles and went to the bathroom there. And so I spent a lot of time at aid stations, which I mean, I was happy with, because honestly, like looking back at it, I'm so happy with the way I performed on my bike, knowing about my knee health.
Yeah.
I was pretty scared with it going into it, but
and a lot of elevation for that.
And
bike,
a lot of elevation, yeah. But the knees felt great.
That's
and
great.
I felt like I got off the bike when I needed to kind of do like soft resets, especially with like the special needs bag.
Yeah.
And then at the last aid station right before you bomb the downhill into Penticton, I stopped there to pee again.
Yeah.
So, that first bomb into the aid station, it was so funny. I came super hot, and I laid on the brakes because I wanted to stop and get a bottle, but I didn't know where the trash line was. It wasn't like marked out as good as I thought it was going to be, like last chance trash. Yeah. At least for the first one. And then I was able to find it. Yeah. But then I yelled at someone. I was like, "Where's the last trash line?" And he's like, "What?" And then I literally took my water bottle and I threw it at him. I didn't mean to like throw it at him, but I wanted to make sure I didn't get like a penalty. And literally for the next like 10, 15 miles, I was scared that like a patroller would come and card me. And I was like, "Oh no." But luckily
projectile trash.
Yeah. Luckily it never happened. Yeah. And after that point, I really tried to make sure to look for that last chance trash. But what was your thoughts on Richter's going up?
So I will say I skipped the first two aid stations because like I had my fluids with me and I knew I was going to swap them out at the special needs, like the halfway point. And then after that, I hit some aid stations just to grab some water, get some just like plain water in my system just to cool me down. And for the half Ironman, I didn't go to the bathroom the whole time. So something in me was like, I can do that for the full too. But I think probably,
crazy.
I don't know what I was thinking. But it probably had to do a little bit with the late start. After like the first aid station, I was like, dude, I have to pee and I have to pee bad. And then as I was passing the second aid station, I was like, I can hold it. I'll be fine. It'll be okay.
A long distance between the second
and the third. And so I had to wait like another 14 miles to the third. And the third one was halfway up Richter's Pass. And so I was just like holding it, and I was trying not to like think too much about it, but I had to pee super bad. But then we got to Richter, and I got up to that point, and I had to wait in a line to go to the bathroom, but I got it done. It did not intimidate me like I felt like it did other people.
It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And I don't know about you, but with our road bikes, I was cruising past
flying by people.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
And I was like,
flying
this
by
feels
people.
great.
It feels amazing.
But I was so funny to some people. I was like, I already know you're going to destroy me on this downhill. And they give me a couple chuckles.
Yeah.
But then I'd just be on my merry way like, oh, good Lord, please get me up there quick enough.
I just knew that like I didn't have the gears that some of them had. And so for me to like be holding that pace and be passing them, I knew, one, I kind of had to keep that momentum going with like the gears that I had, because I was pedaling pretty slow. But just like chugging through it. And then two, I was like, this is the way I've climbed hills for the last like however many months of training. So I know I'm not gonna like blast myself on this. Yeah, like this is the pace that I would go. I want to keep that momentum. And yeah, I just cruised past people, went to the bathroom, waited in line, went to the bathroom, came back, and then went and passed the people like the second time.
Again, I had that same thing at that, because I stopped and peed at that one too. And then when I got back on the bike, I was like getting back onto the road and with some of the people that I passed. And we were just making jokes. And there was this cool guy that I met going up Richter's, and we talked. We were side by side for like the whole half part of it up, and he was just talking about his life. He did a bike ride from Vancouver all the way down to Mexico.
Wow.
On Pacific Coast Highway on PCH. And I was like, oh my gosh, my uncle did that like a couple of years ago. He's like, that's so cool. And we were just kind of talking like, oh, is this like your first time? He's like, awesome. No, this is my 8th Penticton. And I was like, you're crazy.
You're nuts for that.
And I was like, and he told me, he was like, oh, which number for you is this for Penticton? I was like, oh, this is my first ever full length. He was like, well, what a great one to start with, right? I was like, yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. I guess we didn't explain Richter's Pass is like the first and like biggest hill climb on this course. And Penticton has like 6,000 plus feet of elevation on the bike course, and Richter's is like what, 15?
It was 8 miles of, it was like an average of 6 or 7 it was on average of 6.5% increased grade, which I don't know the math with that, but I think I wrote it on a sticky pad, and Richter's Pass alone I think was like 2,600 feet elevation, which is wild. Yeah, and then after that, just like some big downhills, which was a lot of fun. One of the things that I was thinking about in my head was I know the downhills I'll catch my breath whether I'm pedaling or not, because I'm not going to be pushing as hard. And so I wanted to attack the downhills, and I got to use the second like group set of gears on my bike, and I just was flying. Nice. It wasn't till later that I hit this speed on a different downhill, but top speed for the day I hit 45. Dude, I hit 44.
Hey! Let's
go!
Yeah, so it was fast.
It was very fast.
Once you hit the big uphills, you got some downhills.
And on our road bikes, I mean, with our $30 Amazon Aero bars, I mean, you're 4 feet from face to pavement
at like 40 plus miles an hour.
Death.
With cars flying by you. I think I got within like a foot, within a foot of a like trailer and like some semis. I was passing someone at one point, and it literally came within, I think, a foot of me.
Well, and their draft air pull too, when they pass by, that pulls kind of you into the road, and you're like, oh gosh.
So I guess we can talk about maybe towards the end of the bike ride. So big climbs. I think there were some climbs that I didn't anticipate towards the end that kind of caught me off guard a little bit. You just had to grit your teeth through them. I had to stand up on a couple
The Yellow Lake Mountain.
That one was
straight
pretty steep.
uphill. I was like 20 minutes behind you, so I was with a couple slower people, and they had to get off their bikes and walk up the hill. Yeah.
The one right by the golf course there?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like right past the golf course, right before that downhill.
Yeah.
No, there's two people off their bikes. One was like on the side of the road, like with a cramp. Oof. And then the other one was just like walk of shame up the hill, like walking. And I was like, dang. But I know I was in my highest gear, I guess. I was in my highest gear, and it was like just off the saddle, get up as quick as you can. Yeah. It was crazy.
Yeah. And then there was a little out and back, and it was longer than I anticipated it being.
Yeah.
And I felt like for that little out and back, it was probably similar difficulty going and coming from it, because it was like uphill, downhill, bunch of those get to the turnaround point, and then you got to do the same thing coming back.
And the going back sucked, because the first half of the out and back, like going out to the turnaround point, the first half of the first part was all downhill.
Yeah.
So when you're coming back after the turnaround, you know what to expect. And it's like that second half is all uphill to get back to the highway to go back downhill again.
Yeah. Do you hear me holler at you when I passed you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I know. I was like trying to look. I was like, I wonder like which one
I legit yelled at probably a couple people that weren't you as they passed, thinking it was you.
I know. I didn't know how many people would have white helmets and wear black
tri-suits.
That was wild. But no, I heard when you went by, and I was like, oh no. You can't even say anything.
Yeah. You're just like in the pits of it. I thought more people would talk. I'm sure there was some of those people on the bike that were a little chatty, but a lot of the times I felt like everyone was just like
in the zone.
And I was like, I thought we'd be making jokes and happy. Everyone that I like rode by on the side of the street, I was like waving at, I was like smiling at, and they looked surprised every time I did that, as if like no one else was doing it. I was like, I want to enjoy this and like have fun. Like I would smile at people, laugh at their signs, or like wave at people, because just so cool to see so many people out there supporting on that huge bike track that we were out there on, and just like local townspeople that came out.
I was so surprised by the amount of people that were out on the bike course. Yeah. I felt like it was every like quarter mile there were people.
Yeah.
It was so
cool.
Nice.
So cool.
Yeah.
And then just a massive downhill bomb back into town.
Yeah.
Insane.
I was too scared to get on my arrows. So for like the second half of the whole ride, like from mile 70 back into town, I was just in my drop bars on the downhills, because I was like, my legs hurt and my back hurts, and I do not trust myself in arrows without the brake.
Yeah.
Like on my arrow. So
there was a lot of times where I'd be like half in arrow and like half on my brakes or like my gears.
Clicking through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With our Ballin' on a Budget setup, most people have on their aero bars or their tri bars, they have brakes
gears
and
on top.
Gears. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But if you buy, aftermarket bars to rest your forearms in, it's just to rest, and you have to shift back onto your handlebars to do any of that. So it makes it difficult to go back and forth if you're trying to hold one position.
And we're not going to thread cables through an Amazon aero bar system. So it's a
little extra. It did give me great joy to pass people
in spaceships
with their $10,000+ bikes and their
sperm helmets.
Their sperm helmets. I didn't want to say it, but these goofy looking things.
I remember when Kyle put that on like a couple days before, and we took a picture of him.
Yeah.
But it was fun to go past those people and like compete with them.
Absolutely.
It was like a boost of confidence. Like, oh, I don't need that bike to do decent.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I finished like middle pack out of everyone. So I was like, okay, maybe if I had a better bike, maybe I'd be a couple more places ahead of where I finished on the bike. But still, I was with the elevation that we had, I was so happy with my time on the bike. especially with previous bouts of my knee stuff, and then the half Ironman too, where I felt like I was dead.
Yeah.
And I felt somewhat fresh-ish. Like, I mean, as good as you can feel after riding 112 miles.
Yeah.
You know?
I think I underestimated how much wear that puts on you. Like 112 miles is so much.
It's weird to say out loud.
Yeah.
Especially our first century ride too.
Yeah, ever.
Plus
But
12.
that's huge. And towards the end, I was thinking to myself, I have to run a marathon after this.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we bomb back into town, and then you hit some straightaways on those main roads that come back in. And I think I probably pushed a little too hot coming down those, because I just got like really excited that we were getting back.
Just finally getting off the bike.
Yeah. And I came into the dismount zone, and a couple bottles flew off as I'm stopping to like get off the bike. And so I have to like retrace a little bit, pick them up, and I go into the transition zone. I go to the bathroom, I get changed, and then this guy starts walking around, and he's like, take your red bag into the changing tent and change there, leave it, and then go out, which was news to me. I thought it was like...
I thought we would change at the bike too.
Right. Like, unless you're getting buck naked, like, why would I go into the changing tent? So I put on my shoes, everything, and then he like rolls around and he starts like hounding people. But by that point, I'm already changed. So I roll through and I head out for the run.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So like with me too, finishing, it was fun to see a couple of the people, like my mom and Kate.
Oh, yeah.
Going, cheering me on. And I've had like another second wind of like, yes, I'm finally off the freaking bike.
On stable ground.
And yeah, I take my red bag, or not, I don't take my red bag. I put my bike on the stand and I see everyone else running with their red bags. I was like, oh, okay, well, guess I'll do the same then.
You just followed?
And I just followed, and I sit down, I start undoing everything, like my shoes. I put on new socks. I was like, oh, this feels so good. Because like I started to develop some hot spots on my feet for the bike. It's just so much time on the bike.
Yeah.
But I'm in there and I'm putting my shoes on. There's this guy that sits down next to me, and he like throws a bottle of Aleve onto the chair next to me. And I was hurting pretty bad at this point. I was like, hey, odd question. Can I have some of that? And he was like, yeah, sure. Go ahead. I was like, yeah, I deal with IT band stuff. He's like, no way. I do too. I was like, great. Like, what's your strat? He's like, I'm going to walk the first 10K. I was like, I don't have time or energy to walk. I'll see you at the finish line. Yeah. And so I take the Aleve, I take my hat, I take my bib and run out. And the first 10K of the run is like on a soft gravel incline of a run, 5K out, 5K back to total 10K. And I thought that was the easiest part of the run, rightfully so, because it's the first 10K out of 42. But I just love that run just because I love the sound of like crunch gravel. Like the quick. Yeah. But I just got at a good, comfortable pace, and there was this girl running the same pace, and I just went right behind her to just kind of draft. And we did like 7K together, where I would kind of put myself in front, she would draft for a bit, and then I would get behind and she would draft for a bit. There you go. But then I got to see you and your buddy that you were running with. And so it was super cool because a lot of this running on this race had a lot of like out and backs. So with Logan being like 30, 40 minutes ahead of me, I would see when he would come back around like the out and back part where I'm still going out. And so I got to see you, like 5 times?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Good boosts.
Oh,
good
it was so nice.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but tell us a little bit about your run.
Yeah, I think the hard part about the run for me, I felt really in control of the bike ride. I felt really out of control when it came to the run. When I started, I came out of the tent and I saw like my wife Liv and our baby, and like that was super exciting. But I think because I'd came in so hot into the transition area and tried to get through it quick, my heart rate was still up. And then we went like straight into uphills, and I was just like trying to calm that down like trying to get my stomach under control because it was starting to feel weird.
Yeah.
And then I got a few miles into the run, and I was trying to put an empty gel pack into one of my pockets, and it fell out. And I turned around, and this guy picked it up for me. And he's like, "Oh, it's garbage. Like, if you would have told me it was garbage, I wouldn't have picked it up. I thought it was like important." I was like, "Well, I don't think I can litter." And so he came and ran it up to me, and then we like started running. I swear this dude was like an angel, because he was hitting like same pace as me, and I was just like really in my head in that first little bit of feeling so out of control that like just to have someone to run with at that point was so encouraging, that was going like similar pace to me, and he just like chatted me up. And so it really took my head out of everything, and it was probably a little faster than I probably should have gone at that point. It was the pace that I wanted to go, but my heart rate was still pretty hot.
Yeah.
Anyways, I got to pass Jacob several times, and that first little leg is so beautiful out on that gravel road. You're going through vineyards, but then you come back into town, and it's like huge stretch down and back, short stretch.
Yeah, it was like
huge
6 miles
stretch
of literal never-ending straight.
Just straight Main Street pavement. And there's a bunch of people at first because that's like the big congregated center, and then you just get farther and farther away from people. And so I hung with this dude Trevor for like the first 15 miles, and we were just chatting, and like I was just like slowly like decomposing,
pain,
like up to the point where we were getting like 13, 14, 15 miles. I was like, "Hey man, I can't really talk anymore right now. Like I just can't do that." And then by 15 miles, I was like, "Hey, go on without me. Like I can't hold this pace anymore." And then mile 16 came, and I was coming into the big loop again, and I was coming around the turn where everyone is as you're kind of running out of the main area. And like I just had to puke. Like my stomach was just turned over. I felt like garbage. And I looked around, and I ran to the bushes, and I bent over, and I like put my finger down my throat, and like I just like lurched and just nothing. It didn't feel like anything in my stomach moved at all. I just like contracted like I was gonna puke, and then nothing. And I was like, okay, that's how it's gonna be. And I just started running again. And I think that was like the start of just the pure misery that the last 10 miles was, where it was like, okay, you're just going to have to keep going like one step after the other, put your head down, and just like get it done. And for me, I had to figure out, I can't take gels anymore. That's not going to sit in my stomach. I can take some water. I need to get some electrolytes in me, or else I'm going to cramp up. My legs feel like at any point they could just...
One false move.
Yeah, they could just wind up, and I could be on the ground. And so I was like trying to balance this. I need to get some stuff in my body, but I also feel like it's going to come up at the same time. And then I just tried to find like things to distract myself, like chewing on ice, and then find some people in front of me to try to keep up with, or like gauge, okay, when they walk, I'll walk for a little bit. I didn't want to walk, but I just had to at that point.
I can't tell you how much I walked.
Yeah.
It's insane amount.
Yeah. And so I just couldn't keep going. And so I had to find that little stuff to just keep some semblance of like movement or like motivation to keep going. Yeah, what about you?
Dude, run was a grind for sure. I definitely overestimated it. I went way too hot for the first 10K. I think for like that first 6 miles, I averaged like an 8:40 pace. 8:45 pace.
That's solid.
And I was like, dang, okay. But I was like wanting to do like 9:05, 9:10.
Yeah.
Feeling super strong. I was like, oh, yes. I even think going back into town and like going around the transition zone, I was like, man, I think I can keep this.
Yeah.
for all 26. I wasn't watching my heart rate for like the first part. Bad mistake. I was probably running like 170s, 180s already. And I was like, oh gosh, here we go. But I get to that first straightaway, and I did not realize how far
It felt
went.
never ending.
Well, because the half marathon. Well, yeah, I guess half marathon. But the 70.3 that I was running the same day, their turnaround spot on this same straightaway was like halfway to what we had to do. And it was so demoralizing because I would see people, only the first time we went, but I would see a couple people turn around. I was like, man, I wish I could turn around.
It's so nice.
I was like, oh, that could have been really good. But no, I was stopping at every aid station. I was taking a goo every other aid station up until about mile like 14, 13, 14.
I was like, made it farther than me.
I hit the half Mary point. And I was like, I'm feeling okay. Like, not crazy bad. Like, I just ran into Caitlin and my mom on the run. Like, I run up to them on the curb and I give them big hugs and everything. They're like, oh my gosh, keep running. I was like, no, it's fine. I can walk for a bit. But after that point, I don't know if it was my gut that flipped. It's definitely a main contributor, but my body, I think just from the sheer amount of hours of working out consecutively, my body was just giving out. It just couldn't do it anymore. It couldn't process any more food. So if I'm not getting carbs in, I don't have any energy. And if I don't have any energy, like, it was just downhill after mile 13, 14. And so going back down the main street again for the second time, because it was a 2-loop out and back, going the second time down, my stomach completely flopped. I did the same thing as Logan. I threw up. Stuff actually came out for me, it felt kind of nice for like a couple minutes. And then after that, it just like flipped again. I was like, great. Okay. Yeah. And it was such a mental battle that I had to go through because my body was giving out on almost every step. And so I was playing the same mind games too. I was like, okay, I'll jog these 3 stoplights and then I'll reward myself by walking to the next stoplight. Yeah, and literally. Then doing that like 10 times over and over and over again. And just realizing, oh my gosh, I have to go back around this thing again and go all the way down another out and back. Yeah. And that last out and back is not just like a little walk in the park too. It's like a few miles. Yeah, it's like it's a sneaky like 3.5 miles. Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, this thing is so long. Oh my gosh. But I find myself so happy that I pushed through all of that, despite having a super cruddy marathon time. I mean, I did a marathon after riding 112 miles. I think that's a feat of its own. Yeah. And despite not wanting to get the time that I wanted to on the run, I just kept going back to like, man, I'm just so happy the bike went well enough for me to finish the run. Yeah. Because honestly, it was like just finishing the race was a great feat within itself. Yeah. But going down that last straightaway into the finish line, it was a battle in itself. I was hallucinating from like mile 22 to the end, and I was like barely awake running. I was like almost falling asleep mid-run, and then I hit the red carpet and gives me like a little burst of adrenaline, but when I tried to speed up, my muscles gave out, like cramped and went sideways. I wish there was like a live stream recording because I could look back. There is? Yeah. I want to look back at it because I think when I got onto the red carpet, I think like something like hit, something spazzed. Like, it's like I got shot. I was like, ooh, sniper. Yeah, no, it was straight pain. And so I hobbled over the finish line, and Logan was there to give me my medal and give me a big hug. The end of the race was absolutely wild, and it was so fun to hear the name over the intercom of like, Jacob, you are an Ironman. Yeah. It's like, wait, what? It rings out in your head. Yeah. But oh my gosh, I have never felt worse in my life and never felt so accomplished in my life at the same time. I can't even
I can't even fathom like the pain that I was going through anymore, like even being a week out.
Yeah.
I think that's why people flip and they're like, day after, I'm never doing this again. And then like
a week later.
Yeah, they're like, I'll do it again. I just can't remember how much like turmoil, like how crappy I felt, but I know that it was like the worst that I've ever been in my life. Like
when I had to go from like walking back to running again, I would have to throw my arms and shoulders so far ahead of me to give me the momentum to start running again.
Yeah.
It was the weirdest feeling ever because your muscles and your body is telling you no, but you're just having to rewire your brain of like, no, I have to.
Yeah, we're doing this whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
It was funny because like in those last few miles, the most energy I had, like, I mean, I was just trying to keep going, but like people would be speaking directly, like cheering me on directly, and like I just try to give them a fist of like, I hear you, like I'm pushing through this. Like that was my response to them. And then the other funny thing that I was thinking back on was like those aid stations in the last few miles too. There's a line of like 6 people and they're offering different things like electrolytes or gels or water, crackers, different things like that. Yeah. And so each time you go by one of them, they're like, Coca-Cola or like electrolytes. And I was like, I could barely even talk, but I was like, I don't want to be rude. I was like, no, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you. Just like trying to like not be rude as I'm going through this like personal hell.
I felt so bad too because like when I was going through those aid stations too, I would like be able to drink half my cup, but I didn't want to hold on to it, so I just throw it at their feet, and they went home probably covered in like sticky electrolytes and sticky water, just soaked. And I'm like, sorry, like I literally can't function at that level. And so, everyone's just like throwing stuff at their feet. And they're like, whoa.
Volunteers were incredible, man. Like, I just, the sweetest people ever. So kind. All the people there in town, out of town, supporting like the fans. It was just like so cool. I was talking to my wife about it. She was like, the energy was just like so wholesome because it would be like families or just like random passerbys or whatever. But then you get like a spouse running along with another spouse or like walking along with them, like maybe they have their baby and they're like cheering on their dad or their mom, and so it's just like this cool just like rally of people coming behind these family members or these friends, and they're just like, you know, trying to give them that little boost. Getting to the finish line was like, I don't know, it was hard to process in that moment because you're just like, I need to get there, and that's like all that I'm thinking about. And like you just cross that line and you kind of like sit down for a minute and just like
soak it
in. And it was cool because I got to be there for yours. I mean, it was fun because like my wife and my baby girl were there when I crossed on the side with my mom and dad, who'd come out, and they were out on the bike like supporting me. My mom and dad, like they drove out there.
No way.
Yeah.
That's sick.
They were hitting different spots, but so cool to have them there. But then super cool to be there to like give you your medal. I walked up to the entrance point and I was like, hey, do you mind if I like give my brother his medal when he crosses? Because I didn't know if they'd be cool with it if I was just like, you know, my friend. And they're like, yeah. So I waited and I got to give you that. But then tell me about what happened afterwards.
Okay, so I finish, give Logan a big hug. He helps me over to sit kind of like, there's this row of seats where they give you like your hat, your medal, like, oh, good job, you finished, like your shirt, the one that we're wearing right now.
And this guy.
Bing.
Hardware.
They give you all that stuff, and there's a couple people that would come up. It's like, do you feel okay? You okay?
Checking on you.
Yeah, and my stubborn self, it's like, yeah, no, I'm fine. Like, I just ran full marathon after.
Good.
Yeah, I'm not gonna feel good. Like, get on my face. But I do that, and the post race kind of adrenaline shuts down, and then I tell Logan to go get me a trash can, and I'm like trying to like get myself to throw up, but nothing's coming out. But some of the dry heaves made me feel a little bit better. And I was like, okay, I just don't want to sit here anymore. Yeah. I just want to get out of here. So we walk to the exit, and I say goodbye to Logan, Liv, Kyle, Olivia, all of you guys. And Caitlin and my mom, they're like walking with me to like back to our car. Like a block into our walk, I started getting super spacey, kind of hallucinating again like I was during the race. And so like I get each of them under each of my arms, and then we walk past another volunteer who's like, whoa, like you need to take him to the medical tent. And I was like, no, I don't want to go to the medical tent, because like back in my head it's like, I don't want to pay to like get treatment.
Sure.
I was like, there's no way. So I was like, take me home. And he was like, no, you need to go get checked out first. And I think my body just gave in. I was like, yeah, okay, I'll go get checked out, whatever. They checked me in, and I can't really answer the intake questions. I'm like so out of it. My body's kind of not convulsive, but my body's so dehydrated and cold that I'm just shaky.
Yeah.
And so they put an IV in me. And I let them know, I was like, I wasn't able to pee on the run. I wasn't able to put in a whole lot of fluids. They're like, yeah, I probably dehydrated. And then they have me go and try and pee in like dark orange, like almost Coca-Cola comes out. And they're like, yeah, we're going to keep you for a couple hours to like make sure you don't have rhabdo. And I was like, okay, whatever. But the IV fluids helped so much. I was like, man, this feels so good. And they gave me some anti-nausea medicine too that I usually give to my patients.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this stuff works. Like I felt great. I was like eating some snacks and like drinking some fluids. Like while I was in there, I was like, man, I wish that we had this all the time.
Yeah.
And then come to find out, I text Caitlin. I was like, hey, what is this going to like ring us? Like, I don't want, like, can we use insurance internationally? And she was like, work in Canada? She was like, no, it's free. It's included in your entry fee. I was like, put another IV in me. Give me some vitamins.
Give me some snacks.
Give me some nurse and doctor love right now. But it was nice. It was also super fun to see all the other people that finished come into the tent, but there was also a lot of DNFers that were coming in through. Oh, yeah. So it was sad to see that stuff, but
DNF did not finish. For those who didn't know.
Yeah, sorry.
Throwing out these
acronyms. Yeah, I was in there from when I finished around like 8 to 10:15. And then went home and slept like a baby.
But you went home feeling a lot better than you did when you finished.
Still pretty spacey, but yeah. Mental clarity wise, I felt a lot better.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we headed out the morning after, and we said bon voyage to Le Canada.
La Canada, La Penticton.
Le Canada, Penticton.
Beautiful. Beautiful spot.
Like if you had to summarize your experience, like in 3 words, and then pick 1 word out of the 3, what would you describe it as?
Gosh, I put a whole list down afterwards of like things that I would do differently or the things that worked well, just while I was like fresh in my brain. Yeah. I think while I still had like the mental capacity for it, like I think I soaked it in, like enjoyed it. Like, so enjoyment, like while I was on the bike ride, just like trying to interact with the people that were out there, like thanking as many people as I could, like just trying to soak it in. So enjoyment, I would say probably that run, it just pulled everything that I had out of me. So I think something like limits, just like finding new limits for myself of, the half Ironman was hard, and I felt like I really had to draw from places that I hadn't drawn from before on that. But this was like another level, having to push. So enjoyment, limits, and I just can't believe it's over.
Would you consider it a life-changing experience?
Yeah, I would say so. say fulfillment. Like, I've gone back and forth too, because there's just like this weird feeling after you finish something you've worked for like a year.
A little bit of post-race blues.
Yeah. But at the same time, like highs and lows, like the things that I wish could have been different, the things that I am glad went well, like just feel really accomplished, like having done something like that. And I want to have like the gratitude of not the fact that it's over, but like the fact that we got to be there, do that. We had the support team for it, and that, you know, like our bikes didn't break down.
Oh yeah.
Like we made it through the runs. Yes, there was no swim, but like it was still an incredibly challenging day, and like we did that. So, yeah, I think those are the big things for me. Enjoyment, limits, and fulfillment. Yeah, what about you?
I think with me, kind of along the lines of fulfillment, I'd say my word would be like fruition, like coming to fruition of the accumulation of all of the training, all of the early mornings, late nights, the technicalities of honing in race day nutrition, and I don't know, just like the logistical mental fatigue that weighed on us for the 9 months of like, okay, we're working for something. It's daunting, but we can do it.
Yeah.
Type of thing. So I'd say fruition is one.
Fire word.
I think like grateful that we have a body to like do something like this and push our body to the limit, like absolute limit. Like for me to lay it all out there and to have to literally be in a medical tent after, I was so happy with not leaving anything out on the course, like having literally no regrets in terms of my effort. Yeah, my strategy could have been better and all that, but with what I had known and what I did to perform, I literally left everything out on that race course. And so
emptied the tank. And so grateful would be my second word. And then third word would be hungry. Yeah.
I'm hungry.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, bro. Even though it was our first long distance Ironman, I might take a little break from the long distance one, but man, this last week it's made me hungry.
I feel like that gave me a lot of ammo where I'm like, I know what I need to improve now. Like I didn't know what I didn't know, and now I know.
Exactly.
So
hungry is a great word.
Yeah, I like that.
And I'm hungry for getting more races on the ballot, getting some more things honed in. I got some plans up my sleeve right now. I don't know if you want to hear it yet, but maybe that might be for another day.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got some plans.
Okay, here we go. Dude, I'm pumped. But yeah, if anyone is, and it's so cool. I think it was kind of godsend too. At work yesterday, I was precepting a new grad from George Fox, and she just graduated. She did soccer all 4 years, and I was like, oh well, now that like you're done with organized sports, like are you gonna fill your time with anything else? And she was like, I was actually thinking about triathlons. Whoa. And I was like, oh really? She was like, yeah, do you do anything post college or post high school now? I was like, funny you ask, like I just did Ironman Canada last week. She's like, no way, like that's so cool, tell me more. And I was like, how about I just give you my book that I use for training? And so during lunch I went home, grabbed the book, gave it to her, and it was just kind of that like token of sharing what we've done onto like someone else to do for them to like feel the same way we've felt. And so I don't know, just having the opportunity of like being able to spread awareness to you guys who are watching and listening, and also just having you guys along for the ride. I feel like it's been a journey within itself besides the actual training and the race. And it's so fun to document this. Like I want to show this to my kids when they're growing 100%. Up. I'm wanting to be like a good example for them, and just how to do hard things and how to do hard things in community. And so I think it was so cool to just do this whole process like for the last year. Because this whole idea has been percolating since last July,
Yeah.
July 2023. So 13 months later, and we're here. So
Yeah.
it's pretty wild to see when you set a plan in place and with goals, how you pretty much can achieve what you set out to do. So,
Yeah. I think we could probably do a whole episode on the things that we've pulled from this whole experience. I think it'd be fun to talk about how that's impacted other things in our lives too. And that's what I've been thinking about a lot lately, is just like, how does this translate into everything else?
Yeah.
And I think there's some really cool stuff there. But yeah, I think big emphasis on that grateful point that you made. Like, so grateful to have done the training, to finish it, to have wives that have supported us along the way, friends that have walked alongside us, family as well. Friends like Kyle and Olivia that, helped capture that day and the days leading up to it for us, which we'll get to share with you guys. Grateful that Brandon partnered with us for Into the Deep.
Yeah.
Because we were able to raise $600 in one day for them, which is fantastic.
That's awesome.
So yeah, just so grateful for everything and to be able to get to share that with people, and grateful that we have people, I don't know how many, but people that are interested in, following along with us, and grateful that we get to, share these stories with our kids one day.
Yeah.
And grateful that this isn't the end of what we're doing either. And that there's more for the Iron Bros, and maybe even more than that, who knows? But there's going to be some more stuff, and we need to take a little break and, enjoy it, soak up some family time. And then, boy, do we, I think, have some things on the
hungry plates.
Yeah, the plates that we can't wait to share. So, I mean, we got to talk about that. This is one of the first times that we've caught up. So we don't need to, I mean, I could talk like literally all day, but
I know. We'll keep all y'all on a little string,
little cliffhanger.
Yeah. That makes it so you guys have to come back and just enjoy our two faces and our voices even more.
Yep. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for those that made it this far. This is going to be a long one, I know, but
it's a beefy, lengthy one, but man, do we love doing it.
Yeah.
And if you made it this far, just give us a little subscribe, give us a little like on Spotify, and just spread the love. If you have someone who's interested in this, shout us out.
Yeah, we love y'all, and we'll see you later.
Till next time.
Peace
out.